Hey everybody, welcome back to another diecast review. Today we are taking a look at not one, not two, not 10, not 20, not even 30 diecasts. We're taking a look at 33 individual diecasts. Now, you might be wondering, why would I be taking a look at 33 different diecasts in one video? Well, today we are taking a look at all 2020 race wins from the NASCAR Cup Series. So this includes every race win or even some raced versions that were produced. I'm just going to throw it out there now. It's the Torch set with Jimmy Johnson's raced version. So that's technically not a race win. And there are actually 2 iRacing cars in there as well. So we're going to take a look at those also. So anyway, without further ado, we're going to take a look at them all, starting from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, and then at the end, I'm going to lay out my top 10. So we're going to start up front. We're going to start early in the season with our first race of that season. This was the 2020 Clash. Well, I think we all know why I said this. So this was the 2020 Clash. This is where Eric Jones got this win in the number 20 Sport Clips car. We do have a shredded tire there. This thing was absolutely beat up. You can see the front was all sorts of mashed in. There was bare bond and tape all over the nose. Right side had been in the wall. This was from a massive crash that I think Elliott and Larson triggered. And just this car is literally one of the most race-damaged cars ever to cross the finish line. I mean, it was almost a gimmick of a race. This is literally what killed the Clash at Daytona. This race. Right there. So, yes, this race, as weird and wacky as it is, and how bad of a look it was for NASCAR at the time, the raced version is really cool. You have a lot of tape and bare bond, and like I said, the right side's all sorts of scraped up. It's a good-looking car. So, yeah, this is the Clash win. That was the first one of the season, and, it's memorable for that reason, right? We all remember it as the Clash. All right. Next one on the list, we're going to move straight from there into the Daytona 500. I believe in 2020, I have to double check, but I believe the duels were won by both Joey Logano and Eric Almirola. I'm going to actually double check that and search it quick on my phone just to make sure, but this is the Daytona 500. So I definitely want to take a look. Oh, I got to put Cup Series. There we go. All right, Cup duel wins. Oh, for crying out loud. It's trying to do World Cup. Gosh dang it. All right, anyway, we're going to take a look at the Daytona 500 car because apparently my phone is just thinking I'm a huge soccer fan. I'm not. I hate the sport of soccer. Sorry for you soccer fans. Absolutely not my thing. But anyway, we're taking a look at the Daytona car. Now, if you guys remember the 2020 Daytona 500, this was probably one of the most epic finishes ever to happen in the Daytona 500. And unfortunately, it was kind of overshadowed by the injury to Ryan Newman. And so because of that injury, everyone kind of forgets about the epic finish we had between Ryan Blaney and Denny Hamlin, and the fact that we have 2 cars crossing the line and a car upside down in the rearview mirror in that final shot, which was just absolutely wild. The fact that we had that as the race-winning shot was really something special. So, yeah, I had to forget the dual wins. I do remember now. Joey Logano's was not produced, but William Byron's was. I just never got it. I got the liquid color at one time. I no longer have that. So William Byron's liquid color is another variation. Very good looking car. It had the sea glass color to it. It was very cool. I got it in liquid color. It was gorgeous. But I didn't end up keeping it because it wasn't one of my top ones. But this one is absolutely one of my favorites, Daytona 500, and one of the craziest finishes to a Daytona 500, honestly, ever. So the next one we're going to take a look at, this was the 3rd race of the year. They went straight from there out to Las Vegas, where they would race the 3rd race of the year, and it would be won by Joey Logano. I forgot to show you guys this already, though. Race win pin from the Daytona race. And then I actually also have a pin from the 2020 race. This is the Pennzoil 400 from the 2020 race. So it goes great with this Pennzoil car. How about that? So yeah, we have the Pennzoil car here. You can see this one kind of like the 2019 because he won back-to-back in the Pennzoil car, but this one's got the red lettering on the side, really dirty on the nose, and I really like this car. Caked in confetti, by the way. Tons of confetti on this thing. But yeah, this car, Chase Elliott had a great car that day. Had a flat tire, and I believe this one came down to Ryan Blaney and Alex Bowman, and then a late race caution came out. They both pitted. Joey stayed out and just got a free win, basically. I don't know why those two pitted. To this day, it bothers me. But anyway, still a really cool car. So we go to our fourth race of the year. This was at Fontana, and this would be won by Alex Bowman. This was his fourth win of the year. Only time we had the Cincinnati sponsor in victory lane for Hendrick, at least thus far. I don't know that they still sponsor cars, but you can see he did peel the rear fenders off this car, so we have a real chewed-up tire on the left rear. Right rear also has a flat spot, so you can see that right there, and a chewed-up fender as well. So you can get it set just right. Looks like it's got a flat tire and a chewed-up fender. This thing has a lot of confetti. It's all kind of on the left side of the car, though. Like, the right side's fairly clean. Just the left side seemed to get all the confetti from that, but we thought this was going to be the final win at Fontana. We thought he killed the track because he did that to Chicago, but luckily it turns out we did get a couple more races on Fontana before they sold off the property, and I guess we'll see what they do with it now. But yeah, nonetheless, definitely a cool win. This one I believe has become pretty rare too. I think it's a pretty tough one to find. So the fourth race of the year, at least points-wise, was at Phoenix. This was won by Joey Logano, but they did not make it. This was a DNP, one of the first DNPs of their new, I don't know what you want to call it. One of the first DNPs that wasn't Denny Hamlin. Let me rephrase that. Of this new structured, like, polling system where they have these die-casts set up the way they do. So this is one of the first times a Cup race has been DNP'd that wasn't Denny Hamlin, and it happened to be Joey Logano this time. So yes, his Phoenix win was DNP'd, and then the COVID pandemic hit. So now we're going to dive into a couple of the iRacing cars because we moved into the COVID pandemic, and this is where we had some of the iRacing cars take shape because they raced on some Sundays. So first of which, this is, I believe, a Richmond or Bristol win. I can't honestly even remember because it's an iRacing thing, and I don't remember these races, but it was a cool car. We had the Exalta Blue Flames, so it was a black car with blue flames down it. Really, honestly, has a good look to it. I love the blue and black. I don't know why they didn't make this the primary scheme, except for gloss black doesn't look that good. You'd have to go with a metallic, but either way, it would have been cool. So yeah, kind of a cool car. You can see the dirt's kind of weirdly odd. You know, there's never usually that much dirt on the door or even on the roof for that matter. So you can tell it was kind of just added in there because it is iRacing. So the actual race detail doesn't really matter. It's just an iRacing thing. So kind of neat nonetheless, you know, because you can see even on the tires, they added like a couple little marks and that's it. They really can't even add that much because it is an iRacing car. It's nothing more than that. So, so yeah, that one's there. Kind of cool, though, that at least it had a unique paint scheme. And this one of my personal favorites and one of my absolute, I want to say grail cars, Timmy Hill, the GOAT of Timmy Hill. The roofclaim.com number 66. He was able to turn his iRacing skills into a sponsorship, which was absolutely awesome. It was glad he was able to win and get a diecast made. We got a Timmy Hill raced version diecast, so I love that. Even if it was an iRacing race, just having a Timmy Hill car is awesome. So, yeah, the race detail, it actually looks kind of dirty because it's a white car, and then iRacing, like I said, they just kind of splatter. They don't really have a huge tire model that just puts the rubber particles all around. So, other than that, it was just cool to get a Timmy Hill car, really. This one, it's like the race, it's a digital race. I'm sorry, I can't respect it to the same degree as a Cup race, but what I will say about it is I absolutely just love having a Timmy Hill car. So, so then we moved past that. They didn't make any other of the raced versions from the pandemic. Then we moved back to our first race back from the pandemic. This race was run at the Darlington Raceway and was won by Kevin Harvick. And this is where Kevin Harvick would kick off his crazy season, winning 8 races, the first of which was here. You can see Busch Light, Your Face here. You can actually see kind of the 2 little spots there. There you can see it, the Real Heroes Project, and it was actually the Real Heroes 400, I want to say. But yeah, we can see just some of the details there from the Busch Light car. And then this little logo here, that was specific to coming back from the pandemic. So no fans in the stands. It was really weird to see a driver win a race and then just nobody around there. That was a whole new thing for us. But luckily on TV, it was still fun to watch and get to see race cars on racetracks. That's the best part. So, the next one we're going to look at, this is actually the very next Darlington race, which took place, I believe, on either Wednesday or Thursday of that week. And this is Denny Hamlin's number 11 FedEx car. Now, this one was won due to a rain delay. So you can see it still had some good rubber buildup, but there's no confetti or anything. Well, there wasn't confetti anyway. It was COVID. Derp. But, yeah, the reason that this one has a little bit of a, I don't want to say, yeah, it is. I'm salty of it. Chase Elliott looked like he was going to win this race. Kyle Busch turned him. It was an accident, but it's still to this day, it's like, he could have won at Darlington. That would have been cool. But either way, it was a tough ending because that accident ended the race. After that, it rained. And so, yeah, overall, it's still a good-looking race car. It wasn't Denny Hamlin's fault or anything, but yeah, it's not even my favorite Denny Hamlin car. I love the delivering strength across the hood, but there's some other Denny Hamlin cars from 2020 that I actually like a little bit more. So, all right, now the first thing I'm going to have to do, actually, is I'm going to have to start moving some of these over to a different area because I have to bring certain cars over a little at a time so that I have room for the rest of them. So I'm actually going to move some of these back. While I do that, I'm going to then turn around and grab 10 more, or around 10 more, to bring over to the desk to show off. So I don't know how it sounds because right now I'm actually farther away from the phone, but the microphone I'm recording with is actually earbuds stuck to my ears. So I guess we'll see how that goes, right? But yeah, the next car we're going to be taking a look at, this is going to be, as soon as I get it picked up and head over there with it, the next one we're going to look at is, almost there, getting closer, any minute now, there we go. Okay, next one we're going to look at, this was after the heartbreaking race of Chase Elliott getting wrecked out of the spot on the last lap, or, at the end of the race. The Coke 600, where Chase Elliott would recover, lead the race, coming to the white flag. Caution comes out. Brad Keselowski wins because they pit. Oh, the pain. But anyway, yes, this is Brad Keselowski's Coke 600 win. This one was honestly, he had a good car that night. It was just really disappointing as an Elliott fan because, good gosh, if William Byron could have just held onto his car for one more freaking lap, he would have had a Coke 600 win. And instead, he ends up, I believe, second. After it all cycled out and Jimmy Johnson's penalty came through. So ended up second on the day with fresh tires stormed back through the field, but he should have just stayed out because, man, this is where I say Alan Gustafson's biggest weakness is pit strategy. It has always been that way. But yeah, still a really cool car. This is the last win Miller Lite had on the number 2 car, so I will throw that out there. Very cool car because this is the last Miller Lite number 2 win. And it's a Coke 600, so it is a Grail, it is a Crown Jewel win, so I always do like that. Now, after that, they would come back and race Thursday night in the Cup Series again at Charlotte, and this time Chase Elliott would just walk away with the thing. This was in the Kelly Blue Book car, so first time winning in this paint scheme. Not a lot of detail to it, a little bit of build-up. Kelly Blue Book car is not one of my I'm not super fond of it or anything. It's an okay car. But yeah, so they came back to Charlotte. He ended up finally getting that win, locking himself into the 2020 playoffs. But yeah, this car would win on that Thursday night, and it was, I believe, the first time NASCAR had raced on like a Thursday night in quite a while. Okay, after that, they would go to Bristol, where Chase Elliott would be going back-to-back after getting the lead with multiple laps to go, and Brad Keselowski wins again because he wrecks Joey Logano. So yes, Chase Elliott that was a rough month because he could have won 4 straight races. Instead, he won 1 and then wrecked twice. Yeah, in this race, it was all on Chase. He just dove into the corner, wrecked Logano, and Brad Keselowski just went by for the lead. Now, this car looks really good because you got some really good race detail. You can see the right side. We got some marks all up and down it. Just a cool car in general because Bristol always seems to have great race versions. I don't know why they ever went away from the concrete on this place. It looked incredible, at least from the TV side. I actually have the race pin from when it was supposed to run. It didn't actually run in April, but they had their pins already. So, but yeah, the Bristol car, pretty good car nonetheless. I always like this car because of like I said, the race detail to it. The memorable finish was definitely a piece of that as well. Okay, so the next one, as I'm again walking back to set these cars down and grab a couple more for the video here. The next one we're going to be taking a look at took place at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. This race was won by Kevin Harvick. Grabbing a couple more cars really quick. There we go. Okay, next one on the list. There we go. Kevin Harvick. So this was the Busch Light for the Farmers car that ran at Atlanta. This car has a little bit of detail here. You can see it was the old Atlanta, so rubber buildup was kind of a big deal. Kevin Harvick just flat out blew him away. I mean, it wasn't really close. So yeah, dominated this race, got his second win of the year. What the hell's going on back here? It's a little loose in the back end. I'm not sure what's going on. Have to check it with a screwdriver. Anyway, but yeah, good looking car. I know it has corn on it. I used to get teased about corn because I'm from Iowa. So naturally that was on there. But anyway, it was kind of a fun thing. Next one we're going to take a look at, this was actually Martin Truex Jr.'s only win of the 2020 season in the Sirius XM car, and this was at Martinsville. Now, he was running pretty good early on, had some really tough contact, ripped the right front fender off it right here. You can see the hole, and then it was cooling that right front tire. And guess what? When you let someone cool their right front tire at Martinsville, they destroy the field. They don't just win, they destroy the field. That's exactly what Martin Truex Jr. did. He went out and destroyed the field, and then actually wouldn't end up back in victory lane for the rest of the year. So, oddly enough, is that a clear coat defect? Yep, it is. God, that's annoying. 2020 cars right there, clear coat defects. Unfortunately, that's a fairly common issue, so that's a bummer. Anyway, but yeah, Martinsville blew the field away there to get that win. And the next one we're going to take a look at here, this is the, let me see if I got the pin. There we go. The Dixie Vodka 400. I actually do still have those pins available. And here is the Denny Hamlin Homestead win. I think this is probably my favorite of the 2020 season. Just a lot of good buildup on the nose of the car. You see the right side is plenty dirty here as well. Between this one and Talladega, there's both a couple cool cars. I think Talladega, I think I like this one more. But yeah, just a FedEx office car and decent amount of dirt and stuff on it. Look at how clean the side of this car is. There's no contingencies, no sponsors here, nothing here. And you're telling me that they needed to move the 11 super far forward to move this FedEx logo down? I still rant about the numbers. But anyway, good looking car nonetheless. Love the Homestead car. One of my favorites from the 2020 season. Definitely my favorite of Denny Hamlin's wins. That is for sure. Okay, so next on the list, going to grab another little batch of them here. Guess what? It wasn't going to be Kevin Harvick's only win in that month, because we're going to grab 2 of his in this next little handful. The first of which is going to be his, well, actually, sorry, I should rephrase that. There's actually 2 in the way, so I got to grab 2 more. All right, here we go. Here we go. So he'd go back to back, but before he went back to back, I got to put these in. So the first of which, this is actually a race that was postponed due to rain, and this was Ryan Blaney winning at the Talladega Super Speedway. So he would win on a Monday in this number 12 car. Yeah, hood's not sticking up. I thought it was for a minute, but yeah, you can see the right side's got some Goodyear lettering rubbed off it. Really, really close finish between him and Ryan Newman. I think it was Newman, wasn't it? Honestly, I don't remember. But yeah, very close finish. It was a photo finish at the line, and this was Ryan Blaney's only win of the 2020 season. So it's cool that he finally got his win in the Menards car, because for some reason it had taken forever to get that. But once he did finally get it, that was kind of cool. And good news for that one as well. Where'd I put it? I have the race pin somewhere. There it is. I believe I still have some of these available too. So if you're looking for the Ryan Blaney 2020 race pin, you can find those on the website. Next race we're going to look at, this is Kevin Harvick's 2020 Pocono Mountains car. Now, Pocono had a doubleheader in 2020. I actually was originally scheduled to go to the Pocono race in 2020. Obviously, COVID kind of interrupted all of that. I had to take my voucher for the hotel I was going to stay at, and actually that's what I used to go to the Daytona 500 this year in 2023. That's right, it took them to 2023 to fulfill my voucher. How dumb is that? Anyway, nonetheless, this is the Busch Mountains car. What else do you say? It's Pocono, so cool paint scheme, but not a lot of race detail. So cool thing was they did have a really cool Pocono doubleheader pin, which was kind of neat that they had this inaugural NASCAR doubleheader. Unfortunately, the doubleheader didn't stick around for more than 2 years. I think Pocono realistically could have a doubleheader, and I say that just on the standpoint of, like, I'm okay with Pocono having 2 races, one on Saturday and one on Sunday for the Cup Series, and then just simply, like, having an extra points race. Like, if NASCAR said, hey, we have 40 points races, 30 of them before the playoffs, 10 in the playoffs, I'm okay with that. Especially if you add like, no more extra weekends, just add a Saturday race at certain tracks like Pocono, because they earned it. I mean, it was a good race. I thought it was fun. But anyway, so yeah, there's the Pocono car there. The next car we're going to look at, this is the 4th of July car. This was Kevin Harvick's Busch Fireworks car, and it has one of the coolest pins ever. This is the Big Machine Vodka 400, powered by Florida Georgia Line, July 5th, 2020. I just love this pin. This is such a cool race pin, and I will be getting my next Brickyard pin this weekend, so kind of excited for that. So yeah, this was the last Brickyard 400. until next year, we hope. But yes, the number 4, we got it. This was his 4th win of the year, I believe. So he only has 3 winner stickers on there, but he'd get his 4th. But yeah, this car just red, white, and blue all over, really clean again. Unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but just, you know, it's Indy. It's very similar to Pocono. Cars are usually pretty clean. People don't generally get too big of scuffles on that track. It's too big. If you scuff your car, you're probably slow or slower. So, yeah, they didn't have a lot of detail, but a good car. I love the red, white, and blue. I've always been a fan of red, white, and blue paint schemes, so definitely a pretty good Harvick car from that end, from that standpoint of it. Okay, so next car I got to go grab here. This is actually going to be a first-time winner. This was his first win in the Cup Series. We actually have 3 kind of unique winners because they just won sort of either the driver was a surprise or the paint scheme was a surprise, and you'll see why I say that. So the next car we're going to look at, this was a first career win for the driver of the 41, or the former driver of the 41. This was Cole Custer's number 41 Kentucky win. Now this car, he got his win basically on a crazy late race restart. Kevin Harvick probably should have won that race, but because of the late race restart, everything went, you know, to hell in a handbasket. He goes around the outside of Truex, Harvick, and Blaney and snags the win. This is a dual autograph because it is his rookie or first win car. But yeah, the car overall doesn't have a crazy amount of detail or anything, but just, I don't know, it's cool to get a driver's first win, right? So overall, I always love picking them up, and so I picked this one up in dual autograph. Plus, Cole Custer's cars, I'm sorry to say it to Custer fans, they're cheap. These are not hard to find. Cole Custer is not a popular driver, so it was nice for me to be able to get that at kind of at a discounted price because unfortunately nobody likes Cole Custer. Sorry. Next one on the list, this is a one that I said the paint scheme was surprising, and that's because the number's in the wrong place. And this was NASCAR opening the doorway to what they were going to do in 2022 and utterly destroy the look of their race cars. That thing is hideous. And guess what? Everybody thought it was hideous. What did NASCAR say? Screw the fans. We want what we want. And then they moved the numbers forward instead because I'm not going to get into it. Not here. Not now. Nonetheless, some designers showed what a number slightly forward, like just right here, just an inch, you know, kind of just inched forward a little bit, and how much space they could have used back here for their sponsors. NASCAR said, oh, inch it forward. You mean like this? And they slammed it all the way up here against the, you know, front, and now it looks like crap. But anyway, so yeah, this car, pretty cool though. We do have a burned off rear tire. It is a Bristol All-Star win, so it's kind of neat from that standpoint. So you can kind of see the build up there. Right side also, I don't think, is this one chewed up? No, right rear is not chewed up, but the number location is part of it. And this is an absolute must-have in ARC because there's a switch underneath and it has lights that'll go right in here. I have the ARC, I just didn't get it out for this video. But yes, it does have a light-up rear end on this car, and it is a very cool feature that, you know, we'll probably never see again because I doubt they'll ever run it again, but it was very cool to have the light-up rear in the car. It was really gimmicky, don't get me wrong. It was an utter gimmick, but I thought it was cool in the diecast form, you know? And the next one, a surprise winner at Texas. This is Austin Dillon's 2020 Texas win. Now, he won this race at Texas due to the fact that he and Tyler Reddick stayed out on the last cycle of pit stops on old tires, and Texas is Texas, and we all hate it because it's Texas, but nobody could pass. The Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick on like 50-lap old tires sat out front, blocked the air, and nobody passed them for 50 laps, and they won the race. And Austin Dillon qualified for the playoffs because of it. And, I mean, I will say this. He did a great burnout, so the left rear is kind of chewed up. Texas brought back confetti. This is the first car we've had confetti on since, like, early in the year, so that was pretty cool, too. Let's see, right side looked pretty good. Yeah, not much. It's Texas. Like I said, not a lot of race detail because Texas sucks. But that being said, the promoters and stuff at Texas are not the problem. The racetrack itself is, but that being said, I will not miss Texas's second date. Okay. So after Texas, we would head out to New Hampshire, which, if you notice, we're kind of getting close to the schedule we're on currently. We're heading through that summer stretch where things kind of start to leg out. About maybe a couple weeks ago, we were at New Hampshire. That was where Martin Truex won on a Monday. And, well, I shouldn't say that because I don't know when I'm releasing this video. So just know I'm releasing it after the Michigan Monday race. But anyway, at New Hampshire, Brad Keselowski would get his 3rd win of the year, and the first in this black and yellow Alliance parts car with Western Star on the hood. So this is where we kind of found out Brad Keselowski's got a good car on short tracks, and he was going to have a chance at the championship. So a little donut mark on the right side, black on the inner rim, kind of looks kind of neat. You know, you see how the black part of the rim, or the middle part of the rim, is just pure black. I don't know, just a neat look. So kind of a fun look on this this Western Star car, but it is New Hampshire. So what does that mean? Not a lot of detail, not a lot of fun stuff. Okay, so next on the list, this is going to be a pair of wins. This comes in a set. So this is Kevin Harvick's 2020 Michigan win for number 1 and Michigan win for number 2. Now, you might be saying, holy cow, what is going on here? Because this signature looks really, really good, and this signature looks not quite as good. Well, they didn't actually come in a set. I did get them in a set. I'll show you the box quick, but I actually did a trade with somebody online, and I got matching DIN numbers. These are both DIN number 8. So both of these are DIN 8 for these for this set of the sweeps, or whatever you call it. Yeah, it's Michigan sweep set. So the Michigan sweep set, I have an autographed DIN 8 matching set that I put together. So yeah, I think originally I had DIN 8 and DIN 46 or something. I traded this DIN 8 for that DIN 46, and so we swapped, and now I have 2 DIN 8s. So that was pretty nice of the guy. I wasn't able to help him get his match because I didn't have it. But he was fine with just helping me reach my match, and I just had to pay him to ship it. So it was great. But I wanted to show you guys. So those are the 2 cars. Here's the box. Let's back it up. There you can see the box that houses both of those cars. So we got the Michigan Sweep Set for Firekeepers Casino 400. And the Consumable Energies 400. So yes, it's got both cars. He ran the same paint scheme for both. I actually do have the pin for the Firekeepers Casino, but they did not have the pin for the second race because it was later, and so they hadn't pre-produced them. So yes, that is the box for that sweep set. And yeah, nonetheless, it was a I don't know. The cars didn't have a crazy amount of detail on them, so they definitely weren't my utter favorite because of that. I like race detail. But it is kind of a neat set, even though the paint schemes are the exact same. To have, literally a guy won 2 races in the same weekend, within probably 48 hours of each other, almost 24. All right, so we're moving on to our next 3 cars. These are going to take place at 3 different tracks, the first of which was supposed to be Watkins Glen. Now, Watkins Glen, if you know what state that's in and how they handled COVID, it was New York. They handled it not great. So they moved the race from Watkins Glen to the Daytona Road Course, first ever race on the Daytona Road Course, and it was won by Chase Elliott. Now, Daytona's a big road course, like really big, and Chase Elliott kind of got out and led a lot of this race. So you can see it's a pretty clean car. Like, he really didn't have to face a whole lot of trouble. They did run the big spoiler package because they were worried about the braking zones, and they wanted to make sure they had extra braking power by giving them a little more drag. So they did add the spoiler on for this race, and it didn't matter. Chase Elliott still just kind of blew the field apart. Now, Denny Hamlin did challenge him at the end on some fresher tires, but Elliott was able to hang on and get the win. So got his second win of the year at Daytona, and to this day, it's only him and Christopher Bell that have won at the Daytona Road Course. Unless you count Kyle Busch's Clash, which, technically it's not a points race, but it is a win at the track. So I don't know, I'm not sure what you're supposed to call that. All right, next on the list, we move to Dover, where they would have a doubleheader Saturday and Sunday. First of that doubleheader was won by Denny Hamlin. So this one's in the FedEx Office car, just like the Homestead one. A little less race detail, though. A little cleaner on each side. You can see there is some buildup and stuff, but it is just overall a little bit cleaner. No right side window, so that's always kind of a neat thing. I'm kind of a fan of short tracks, so that doesn't bother me one bit. But, yeah, so you can see a little bit of buildup on the right side, but overall, it is just a cleaner version of the Homestead car. So, still a good car, but not, I don't know if fans were even there, so I wouldn't even say if you were there in person to get it. Second race of the weekend was won by Kevin Harvick in the Mobil 1 car. This one was my favorite of the Mobil 1 cars I had ever gotten of Kevin Harvick, but then I went and got his 2019 Brickyard car, so this one's kind of, I don't want to say not needed, but not needed. So overall, it's a really clean car. Kevin Harvick was super fast on Saturday, and then again super fast on Sunday. So Sunday he was finally able to get the win. But you can see just pretty clean all the way around. Not a lot of buildup or anything. Overall, just a really shiny car. Look at that. So yeah, good looking car nonetheless. Alrighty, I'm gonna move these back. Let's get our next little batch of 3. So the next batch we're going to be taking a look at will be actually moving towards the playoffs. So that was our second to last race before the playoffs. They would then go to Daytona. I shouldn't say that. I don't know for sure. There's a Denny Hamlin Pocono win that didn't get made in there, and there's another win that didn't get made. I think it was another Denny Hamlin. but I can't remember where. Kansas. There was a Kansas race that I couldn't go to, and I wanted to, and Denny Hamlin won that as well. So those are your 3 DNPs. There were 3 races DNP in 2020. One was Joey Logano at Phoenix, and the other 2 were Denny Hamlin, Kansas, and Denny Hamlin at Pocono. So this will be our last race before the playoffs started. This is won by William Byron, his first career win. I have this dual autograph by Chad Knaus and William, so definitely one of my favorites just because I've always wanted Chad's autograph, so it's on William's car instead, but yeah, this Liberty car looks really cool. The sparkly blue underneath. The overall paint scheme I always thought was ugly. I never liked this Liberty scheme, but the sparkly blue is kind of neat, so that's something. But yeah, he won this race. It was a chaotic end. Jimmy Johnson ended up wrecked. William Byron won his way in, and Matt DiBenedetto got in on points. Elliott damn near wrecked DiBenedetto at the end of that race, and it was just due to some really intense blocking. And overall, the race car itself has some really good detail. I just really was never a fan of this paint scheme. I honestly really like his current paint scheme with the white Liberty scheme. This one is just not my cup of tea. So overall, though, cool first win car to have a dual autograph for sure. So then we move into the playoffs. We move into Darlington, throwback weekend. Martin Truex Jr. going to battle Chase Elliott out for the win, and they get together, crash each other, and Kevin Harvick wins. So as an Elliott fan, another painful one because Elliott had a really cool Jimmy Johnson throwback that day. I really wish that could have gotten to victory lane because it was a cool-looking race car. But wasn't meant to be. Kevin Harvick was like 5 seconds back, kind of inherits the lead after that in this Busch throwback. Very cool, though. You can see Busch, the official beer of NASCAR, and this was from the old Busch Series logo, and you can see kind of how they did a throwback to that. You just see the way that they did the Busch throwback. A lot of rubber buildup on this. I actually really like this car just from a paint scheme standpoint. This is a really cool paint scheme. Add all the rubber buildup on the nose. This is one of my favorites of the 2020 season just for that standpoint. So really a cool looking car. Love the throwback aspect of it. And like I said, the rubber buildup, really, really good. So we're going to go to the second race of the 2020 playoffs. This took place at the Richmond Raceway and was won by Brad Keselowski. So this one has a little more buildup on the nose compared to the New Hampshire car, which has the exact same paint scheme. But you can see a lot more buildup, no right side donut, but again, the nose has more rubber buildup. So it's kind of a wash as far as which one you would pick. I prefer the Richmond car. I'm not sure exactly if it's the playoff spoiler and playoff banner that makes me like it. I'm not sure. But otherwise, very, very similar. It's Richmond. They're not super exciting races. They're not super crazy. This one, of course, had the tall spoiler. Maybe it didn't. I think it may have had the short spoiler, and they just screwed up on the diecast. I think it was only the Chevys they were doing it accurately by putting the right diecast spoiler on it for whatever reason. But anyway, yeah, so the overall, the two-car, pretty good-looking car from Richmond, but very similar to the New Hampshire win nonetheless. Okay. So next on the list, we're going to move to actually a race I got to go to in person. The first race I got to go to post-pandemic. This was the final race of the round of 16. And so this took place at the Bristol Motor Speedway, and it would come down to a very intense battle and a duel between 2 drivers, one of them winning 7 races already this season, and Kyle Busch was looking for his first win of the season and trying to avoid having a winless season. Well, Kevin Harvick would come out on the top end of that, and you can see this was the Bristol night race win. I was at this race, so naturally, I have one right up there. So this one is actually for sale on the website. My sister decided she didn't want hers anymore, so it is available on the site if anyone still needs a Bristol night race win. But yes, it was the playoff banner there, the Busch beer car. You can see a little bit of the stuff up here. I did actually get this in liquid color at one point. Looked all right, but you can see the rubber buildup on the nose, so pretty good looking car. But yes, this car was his 8th win of the season, and unfortunately for Kevin Harvick, would be his last win of 2020. All right, so we'll move past this one. We'll move into the round of 12. The first race of the round of 12 was actually at Las Vegas. For some reason, I forgot to tell you guys this. But Las Vegas, the race, the reason there's actually 4 DNPs. The 4th DNP took place at Las Vegas, which was won by Kurt Busch in the Monster Energy car. If you guys know anything about Monster Energy, they don't make diecasts. So this one was a DNP. So Kurt Busch, Las Vegas win, was a DNP in the number 1 Monster Energy car. After that, we go to the second race of the round of 12. This took place at Talladega and was won by Denny Hamlin. Now, this race is controversial, and I think it's still controversial to this day. Race win pin here. I always like to show that off before I go too far. And I do have those available on the website if you need them. It doesn't have a date on it, oddly enough, but it is the 2020. So, That's where you can get it if you need this pin for the 2020 Dega win. But, yeah, this race was kind of interesting because DiBenedetto got penalized on the last lap for, quote-unquote, forcing Byron below the double yellow line. But Denny Hamlin literally went all 4 wheels below the double yellow line for an entire corner and passed everyone for the lead and somehow didn't get penalized. Like, obviously I'm not a huge Denny Hamlin fan. I actually do like him as a driver. I, respect him and like his presence in NASCAR. But what I will say is, here's the thing. That's our line, okay? We're going to pretend that's our line. And we're going to pretend this is William Byron, this is Matt DiBenedetto, and this is Denny Hamlin, okay? So DiBenedetto comes flying down the track. William Byron kind of crosses like this and then gets a little space up alongside. Denny Hamlin, when this happened, dove way down here, passed them both, and came back up. That was as clear as day, in my opinion, crossing below the double yellow. So, to me, to this day, I think that was just absolutely awful officiating on NASCAR's part. I can't blame Denny Hamlin. Not his fault. He just tried to win the race, and he ended up winning the race. So, obviously, he did it right. But, yeah, I will never, to this day, I will always say that that was the wrong call. And either Matt DiBenedetto should have had the win, or I think Erik Jones was second, so he would have had the win. But, yeah, it was ugly, ugly officiating from that standpoint. But overall, it's a cool car. I forgot to mention those little streaks there down the side that are kind of cool. Then we move on to the last race of the round of 12, which is at the Charlotte Roval, which this was Elliott's second year in a row getting his win at the Charlotte Roval. So this was kind of becoming slowly his playground where he would just consistently win because he was really, really good there. So that did help that he had a track that he was really good at. So yeah, he got another win at the Charlotte Roval. It's pretty clean. You can see a little bit of dirt there. There was actually rain earlier in the day, so they did actually use those windshield wipers. You can see the buildup on the nose on each side, but by the end of the race, he kind of ran it out to a pretty good lead. So not a crazy amount of detail, but still pretty cool nonetheless. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next car here. As I just said, we were at the end of the round of 12, so what does that mean? We are down to our final 4 cars. Now, this next one is one that I also got to see in person, so oddly enough, as bad as COVID was for a lot of people as far as being able to go to the racetrack and see a race, I still got to see 2 races that year. The second of which was this one right here, Joey Logano winning at Kansas. And this one actually is my car out of the display case, so this one actually got pulled out. So, but yes, he won at Kansas. This race was probably the death of the 550 package. There's our Hollywood Casino 400 pin, but yes, this race probably killed the 550 package because Joey Logano was noticeably slower than Kevin Harvick, but he aero blocked him for, I kid you not, 40 laps. Even as a fan up in the stands, freezing our butts off, that was annoying to watch somebody who's clearly faster just stuck in dirty air the entire time. So luckily, this race here practically ended the 550 package, or at least sealed its fate. No matter how good the racing was in 2021, fans were going to say, get rid of this aero package. It sucked, and it did. So, yeah, this race, probably one of the worst Kansas races in recent memory. The racing behind first place was okay, but it was just so cold. They were running wide open the entire time, no lifting at all required, and it was an ugly race. It really was. So, yeah, overall, Joey, I mean, I've seen him win 4 times, so I guess I've gotten used to getting Joey cars, but yeah, that race was not one of the best. All right, now third to last race. This one took place at the Texas Motor Speedway, and this one was actually affected by rain. So it took place on a Wednesday, I believe, because of an insane amount of rain, and the winner of this race was Kyle Busch. He almost had a winless season, but he was able to snag a win in this Texas race. He actually ran and won this race on fuel mileage. So Kyle Busch kind of coming out of nowhere to claim a very unorthodox win and actually won on fuel mileage here in 2020. And so we got the Skittles Zombies car. This was actually near the Halloween weekend, so kind of a cool paint scheme. I love that silver color to it. I've always thought this car was a really cool race win, especially with the 18. I don't know, the 18 and silver, just odd combination that I've just kind of like. So, yes, but Kyle Busch kept his streak alive by winning at that track. Then we move into the second to last race where everyone remembers the ending of that race, Kevin Harvick trying to dump Kyle Busch to get that one last point. He doesn't do it. Kyle Busch ends up taking the spot. Kevin ends up spun out, and Kevin Harvick's out of the playoffs because Chase Elliott won at the track. He kind of drove through the field and really had the best car all day, drove through, won it at the end of the race. You can see the biggest thing, the 2 donut marks there on the right side. Pretty clean overall, though. You can see there's an Xfinity logo and a couple Napa logos up there, but these number 9s on the door are too small. They need to be bigger. But anyway, yes, so he ended up getting the win at Martinsville. That punched his ticket into the round to the Final Four. He's actually been back to the Final Four every year since 2020. Obviously, 2023, he may not even make the playoffs, so we'll see. But yeah, overall, this one is definitely a pretty cool car, just from the standpoint of the significance of it, locking into the round of 4 and stuff. But overall, the race detail on it, not super crazy outside of this little mark back there. And now we move into the final race of the year, the championship-winning diecast. I had just mentioned Chase Elliott. Well, guess what? He won the championship that year in 2020. Obviously, Kevin Harvick had the best season. I, as a Chase Elliott fan, will admit that. He should have been the champion. I also believe Chase Elliott should have been the 2022 champion. So Chase has the right amount of championships. I just wish that they were in the correct season so we can remember the driver's dominance. But NASCAR uses a dumb system, so it is what it is. But yes, this is the car he won with at Phoenix. Had a really good car, really just after the cycle of pit stops, drove off, had a big enough lead to just manage it and come back around. It was a really uneventful race, not a lot of cautions, if any cautions at all. So it was a very calm, collected race. He started at the rear and drove through the field, had a very good car, and when he got to the front, he just sort of got out there and good race detail. You can see on the right front where the drivers that were congratulating him left some marks. Right rear, you can see pretty dirtied up from the burnout. We do have a chewed up left rear tire here. See a bent fender as well with that chewed up tire. And then the left front's got it. Obviously, the neon yellow 9s, that's for Jimmie Johnson. It was his final race in the 48. We thought it was his final race ever, but he came back this year in the 84. So, but yes, this is kind of the tribute to Jimmy to have those bright yellow 9s on there. So, yes, this was kind of a Jimmie Johnson tribute right there. But, yeah, so that was the championship-winning car. And I would say that's a must-have just from the standpoint of I love every Homestead car or championship-winning car. Now, I have one more diecast to show off, and it's actually a pair of diecasts. It's this set right here, the passing of the torch set. Now, that set is very specific. It's very similar to the car I just showed. It also does include Jimmie Johnson's passing the torch car, so you see the race details on there. Johnson kept it pretty clean, so you can see just some different marks on the right front, left front. Sorry, the right side looks actually very clean. It was the left side that had a few marks. But up here you can see Chevy, and I think that's Jimmie Johnson. So you got the 2 Jimmie Johnson logos up there on the roof cam. There you can see what the left side looks like, and then you can see a couple little marks there on the left front fender as well. So that's Jimmie Johnson's final ride in the Ally 48, and then they had Chase Elliott's Phoenix win car. This is the car that was actually pre-burnout in that photo of the passing of the torch. And so you can see our left side fender is not bent up on this one. Left side and right side, like race detail, you can see that is all still very similar. Nothing really changes there. I think I laid this out once in a video, but I'll do it again here because why not? But here are the 2 cars side by side. So you can see, like I said, this one chewed up left rear, bent up fender. This one does not have the chewed up fender or the chewed up tire, I should say. Overall, though, the detail is pretty similar. It's literally just burnout marks that are kind of the difference. I got to look at the right side and see how much different it is here. Yeah, it's pretty much just that left rear corner. So very similar, but definitely, I mean, it's totally different cars as far as when you get them. So this one comes obviously with a set. The other one does not, but otherwise they are exactly the same. So there's not really any difference, but still a cool set nonetheless. So now, that is all of the cars from the 2020 season. So now it is time to go through the top 10 and talk about which ones are the best of the 2020 season. So, honorable mention, this is 11th spot, and I call it an honorable mention only because it was not a points-paying race, but I bring it in at number 11, Timmy Hill's Texas iRacing win. This is not going to count on the top 10 because it was not a real points race, but it's a Timmy Hill diecast, so bite me. Timmy Hill, the GOAT, it's time to give him that respect. So yeah, Timmy Hill diecast, that comes in at number 11 as an honorable mention. All right, so coming in at the number 10 spot will be William Byron's first career win. I think this is a must-have first win for William Byron. Final win for crew chief Chad Knaus. Obviously, I have it signed, so that makes it a little bit better, but yes, overall, it's a first career win. It's a last career win. There's significance to it. Paint scheme and race detail is solid nonetheless. So I remember this list is not strictly based on my opinion. It's also based on some significance of what that race meant. So yeah, I put this one in at number 10. Coming in at the number 9 spot. I need to make sure I have these right. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9. Where's the last one? Oh, wait, I have 9 right there, and that was 10. Okay, no, I got it right. Okay, had to make sure. Number 9 on this list is going to be Kyle Busch's Texas win. This one preserved his win streak with each year. It was a very interesting race. Took place on a Wednesday. Wild race in terms of the weather. Just a crazy overall weekend. And winning on fuel mileage. Probably Kyle Busch's first ever win on fuel mileage. And so just kind of a different way for Kyle Busch to win. Kind of out of the box. And then overall just a cool paint scheme. So that one comes in at number 9. Coming in at the number 8 spot is going to be the Pennsylvania, the Pennzoil car from early in the season at Las Vegas. This is Joey Logano's car. Love the car. The paint scheme looks awesome. It has no historical significance of any kind. It's just a useless Las Vegas win for all intents and purposes, but it's a great paint scheme. Great paint scheme, great race detail, confetti, color, just overall a really cool car. So that one comes in at number, did I say 7? It's supposed to be 8. Comes in at number 8. So coming in at the number 7 spot is going to be a car that probably doesn't have a lot of significance because Auto Club came back, but it's Alex Bowman's 2020 Fontana win. Now, this one has a flat left rear tire. We got good burnout, a lot of confetti down the side, and this car just overall has a lot of really cool features. So a lot of cool features. We thought it was Fontana's final race. It didn't end up being that way, so it didn't end up with as much significance, but overall it was a pretty cool race, and it's a really good diecast. This is a really cool car, so this one I'll put in at the number 7 position. So coming back in at the number 6 spot, this is going to be, do I have this right? 10, 9, 8, 7. Yeah, okay, we're good. 10, 9, 8, 7. 6, 5, 4, 3. Yeah, we're good. I think I'm missing one. Oh, I am. There it is. Number 6 on the list. I almost missed it here. I accidentally put it back. This is number 6 on the list. This is Kevin Harvick's Darlington race. When I mentioned it was one of my favorites, it is one of my favorites. Throwback, crazy race overall, playoff win, rubber buildup all over the nose. This was a cool one. I loved this car. The paint scheme was awesome. The race, as an Elliott fan, was painful, but I love that paint scheme. It's a cool car, and so that one ends up at number 6. Coming in at number 5, we start to move into the more I guess sentimental ones or historically significant ones. So number 5 is going to be actually Chase Elliott's All-Star win. This one is actually going to rank as number 2 in the ARC list. So if you were to have an ARC list, the light-up ARC comes in at number 2. This is an absolute must-have in ARC. The light-up is very, very cool. Highly recommend that. But in an ARC, this one comes in at the number 5 spot just because 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Yeah, 5. Comes in at the number 5 spot. Good race detail, weird number placement, some significance to that, and the fact that it was the first All-Star race away from Bristol. And outside of that, the paint scheme was always kind of ugly in my opinion, but biggest thing is a lot of significance to that. So coming in at the number 4 spot is going to be a car that has no significance in the historical sense of like record books, but it's the most raced up version I've ever seen. So this is the 2020 Clash version from Eric Jones. Nose absolutely mangled and mashed in, right side all sorts of scraped up. This race does have a little bit of significance because this is what caused NASCAR to shift the Clash. It was honestly the last year they could handle having a bad Clash race. So this one kind of got, I don't want to say the Clash banned, but it was literally the nail in the coffin on the Clash. So there's a little significance, but the race detail and the raced up damage really sets it up there. All right, so coming in at the number 3 spot is going to be a car that is mostly for significance purposes. It is Brad Keselowski's 2020 Coke 600 car. Now this one, like I said, the race detail is not super crazy, but red, white, and blue paint scheme, check. Miller Lite's final win on the number 2 car, check. Brad Keselowski getting a crown jewel win at the Coke 600, check. So by the time you check all those boxes, it's a really significant car from that standpoint as far as, you know, sponsor, driver, crown jewel race, all that stuff. And so you put them all together, just it fits right here at the number 3 spot. And coming in at number 2, you guys know I'm always a sucker for the Homestead race wins. And this year, the Homestead's actually going to be number 1. So coming in at number 2 is the Daytona 500 winning car of Denny Hamlin. I have always said Daytonas are a must-win. Got to have a Daytona 500 winning car. This one is no different. A little cleaner than the 2019 version, but overall, definitely the 2019, or I should say the 2020 version, has that significance. What a crazy race that was. So that's what brings that one in at number 2. And coming in at number 1 is actually going to be, I can't put them both up here, but the number 1 is actually the passing of the torch set. Mostly because you get 2 very significant cars. You get a championship Homestead winning race car in the number 9, and then you get, I said Homestead, a championship Phoenix win race car in the number 9, and you also get the final start, or what was supposed to be the final start, of a 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion in Jimmy Johnson. So that set, we'll talk about that box. That set is the number 1 most must-have for the 2020 race wins. Obviously, not everyone can afford to get both of those, so sometimes you just have to go get that Chase Elliott Phoenix win. Especially right now, I believe the prices on the Phoenix wins are still fairly reasonable, where the torch sets are all but disappeared. You can't really find them anymore. So technically there's 11 cars in here, but that is the top 10. Number 10, William Byron Daytona. Number 9, Kyle Busch, Texas. Number 8, Joey Logano, Las Vegas. Number 7, Alex Bowman, Fontana. Number 6, Kevin Harvick, Darlington. Number 5, Chase Elliott, All-Star, Bristol. Number 4, Erik Jones, Clash. Number 3, Keselowski, Coke 600, Miller Lite car. Number 2, Denny Hamlin, FedEx, Daytona win. And number 1, the Phoenix, passing the torch set, or Chase Elliott, Phoenix win. Obviously, I'm an Elliott fan. There's probably a little bias that puts the Phoenix win up there, but great race win detail. A lot of significance, the yellow number being the final start for Jimmy, all that kind of stuff adds up, and that's why I put it at number 1. So let me know your top 10 for the 2020 race wins. This is only for Cup Series. I will be doing some Xfinity ones and truck ones later on, but this is only for Cup Series. So let me know what your top 10 Cup Series race wins are in the comments below. But other than that, guys, that'll wrap up the video. Thank you all for watching this little long marathon, and we will see you in the next diecast review.